Kevin's calling from Europe. Kevin's an agnostic who wants to talk about the flawed ideas of atheism. And I think we're going to get to a problem here with just definitions in general. So, Kevin, what are you calling about?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I followed the conversation you just said before, where Justin said, you're okay with saying we don't know. You say we don't know. And,
yes,
when I was young, I was watching the Atheist Experience, you were on, Matt, and I was actually angry. I was born a Christian, and I didn't read the Bible back then. So as you were humiliating those Christians who entered the call without knowing anything, I was angry, and then I read some stuff. I don't know everything, but I know this, that I had many debates with atheists, and there's one thing that irritates me. They always say this one thing, and it's not only atheists who say this. It's some people, whenever there's a debate, someone says at the end of the day, we don't know, or they say stuff like we need evidence in order to believe in something. And I don't think actual people work this way. I don't think a reasonable person goes out to the streets and says, I need evidence. Yeah.
Kevin, does it matter how people work? Because I only care about how sound epistemology works. Either we have an answer that's
no, I'm not talking about epistemology. I'm talking about hypocrisy. Like, you guys say you need evidence to believe something.
Okay, I was asking a question, but I give up.
Yeah. No,
Kevin, I think you're making a critical error in assuming that Matt and I behave the same way like people behave. Like, sure, are there some people in your life that have faith in things that they don't have data for? Maybe there are, but that's not my position.
That's how the human brain. Listen, my guys, I think that's how the human brain works. You don't need evidence to believe something.
Yes,
you use your intuition. You just use your intuition. No,
your intuition. Your intuition is something that you train, and you do not have to fall into the trap of just running with your intuition. You can build up and reliably, consistently appeal to a sound epistemology. In which case, when you have sufficient evidence to believe something, you accept it. It's not a matter of choice. You just accept it because you become convinced. And if you don't have enough evidence and you recognize that you don't have enough evidence, then it's impossible to be convinced. I don't understand what you're calling about, because we're atheists. Atheism is not the assertion that we know that there are no gods anywhere at any time. So there's no hypocrisy there. Agnosticism and atheism are not remotely mutually exclusive. They're answers. I don't know why. I genuinely don't know why you're talking right now. But agnosticism and atheism.
No, I'm stopping you. I'm stopping you because it's hypocritical.
I guarantee you. When you say, I guarantee you that on my show you're never going to stop me. So just let me finish, and then I won't have to mute you and treat you like a child. I'd rather not. I was right in the middle of a sentence, and you didn't just interrupt. You did it on purpose and then acknowledged, no, you're going to have to stop me. I'm just trying to make a point, and I'm going to make it. I will always get to make a point on my show. Okay. Agnosticism and atheism answer different questions. In the same way that knowledge is a subset of belief, agnosticism is a subset of theism or atheism, depending on what the actual category is. You can be agnostic about any number of things because it's a subset of belief. You're calling in as an agnostic, talking about supposedly the flawed ideas of atheism or hypocrisy. So my question is, are Justin and myself engaged in hypocrisy that you're complaining about, or are you calling us to complain about other people? That's what I was trying to get to.
That's what I'm hearing. I'm talking about complaining.
Yeah, sorry. I'm talking about people in general.
Okay.
Like, whenever there's a debate,
Kevin,
always someone says, okay, yeah.
Kevin, are Justin and I the individuals that you're talking about, yes or no?
Yeah, you're included. I'm included. Myself, I'm included.
Okay.
I did this. when I was young.
What is the flaw? What is the flaw or hypocrisy that Justin and I are engaged in? That's what I'm trying to get to.
The fact that you say you need evidence in order to believe something to be true. But
I do need evidence. Do you think you know my mind better than I do?
No, atheists say that all the time. They say we need
I'm not asking about atheists, Kevin.
That's
Kevin, I'm not asking about other atheists. I'm asking about me and Justin. And you said that there's a problem, and I'm trying to figure out what the problem is. What is my problem?
I've watched your shows. You say there is no evidence, and you say you need to be in order to be convinced. You need evidence.
Kevin,
yeah.
I don't need you to tell me that you watch my shows and what I say. What is the problem that you're calling about that is my problem? Just state it flatly.
The problem is that you're right to say this, but you're not following it in real life all the day. You assume things. You don't have to have evidence for everything.
Like what, Kevin? Like what? Name something.
For instance, For instance, do you believe you have a great grandfather, for instance?
We have data for that. We know that we come from lineages. We know that we have great because we have data for that.
Because why? Because evolution, all right?
Because there's no other way for it to happen. So we have data for that. This is the part that you're actually getting wrong. Is you're assuming that sometimes when we make decisions about stuff that happened in the past that we have no information for, we do have information for it. I know that I had a great grandparent because not only do I know their name, but I also have a family tree. Now, does that mean that they don't exist because I've never met them? My great-great-grand? No, of course not. But the reality is I don't believe it just on blind faith. I believe it because I have data that suggests that it's true.
Yeah, fair enough. But I can claim that you have a picture of your great-great-grandfather.
Kevin, you cannot make an accusation, and then when we respond, you say fair enough. If it's fair enough, then you have to retract. Then you have to retract it, because when I say one ought to have sufficient evidence before one believes, I think that's true. And I also say that I need
evidence for you.
It depends on the claim.
What is sufficient?
And I also it depends. I know it's fucking correct. I don't need you to tell me I'm correct. I already know I'm fucking correct. You're calling in to suggest
I'm correct also. Yeah.
No, you're not. You're calling in to suggest that we are incorrect or hypocritical, and I would like to find out what that is. Otherwise, you are just wasting our time.
I just explained it to you.
You didn't explain shit.
Maybe I can help you out.
No,
all right.
I will explain again if you want.
I think the way to get your argument across is maybe start with, rather than starting with a complaint, start with an argument. Give us your conclusion and give us the support for your conclusion. So that would be a proper argument.
The argument is, in order to find the truth about anything, you have to assume things first.
Yes, we're aware that there are axioms and presuppositions right down to the laws of identity, non-contradiction, excluded middle. So what?
And sometimes you don't need evidence to assume things. First you assume them, then you see where
the things that you assume,
and if it leads you to any contradictions, your assumption is wrong.
It's just absolutely a train wreck here, because there are things that you have to assume as a matter of necessity in order to engage in reason. I'm well aware of this. I've lectured on it many times. It has nothing to do with whether or not for claims you don't have to have a position. The time to have a position is after there's sufficient justification, which can mean that either there's a pragmatic necessity without empirical evidence, or there's sufficient empirical evidence. Those are the two options. What's wrong with what I said? What is incorrect about what I just said?
Nothing. Nothing's wrong.
Nothing. Then why the fuck are you calling to pretend like? Then why are you fucking calling to pretend like I've made some error or I'm hypocritical, and then all you do is keep agreeing with me and saying I'm right? I already knew I was right.
Because you're talking about a different thing. I don't understand if you understand my point.
I don't understand your point. I don't think you understand your point.
It sounds like you came to have your diaper changed, not to provide an argument for your God. So what you've done here is done nothing to advance the cause of the God you believe in. That would be the more interesting thing, is to see if you can give a defense for your God.
I'm here to expose people who say they need evidence in order to believe things. They don't do that in real life.
Oh,
we do.
So do you think people should wait until there's sufficient evidence before they believe things?
Excuse me again?
Do you think people should wait until there's sufficient evidence before they assent to a belief in something?
I don't understand what that means. I'm sorry.
Okay. Do you think that ideally every single individual should reserve and not believe something until the evidence warrants belief?
No.
Okay.
I don't know.
Why not?
Depends on the case.
What things should people believe without warrant?
I can't say for sure, but I would say this example. For instance, will you allow me to say an example?
I'm waiting for you to give an example. I literally just asked you,
for instance,
what do you think someone should believe unwarranted?
I think they should trust their intuition, even if it leads them to false paths.
I don't know what else to say, because this is ridiculous and stupid.
Yeah, this is.
Why so?
And also,
Why so?
Kevin, your intuition is still based on data.
Ridiculous?
So what happens in your brain is you do have some subconscious processing that is using past information to make subconscious thoughts, feelings, and emotions and decisions for the present. So the thing that we call intuition is still your brain processing prior data points. None of this is without some kind of data at the helm. Now, you could say there are some instances in which we are willing to believe things on weak data. For example, if a friend said, "Hey, Justin, I found a potato that's green." Listen, I can believe my friend that he found a green potato, because who gives a fuck if there's a green potato? But when we're talking about serious matters, like the existence of a God, about elections, about things that affect people's lives, that's when we have to start saying, yeah, I need more than some guy said a thing. I need hard evidence.
Hard evidence to believe extraordinary claims. Yes.
No, to believe any claim, you need sufficient evidential warrant.
Right. If you are going
to claim that your position is rational, you need evidential warrant. And
right.
when I asked you what things people should believe without evidential warrant or without warrant, you said they should follow their intuition. Can intuition be wrong?
Intuition, yes, it can be wrong, and most of the times it is wrong. Actually.
Most of the time, you're saying most of the time intuition is wrong, and yet you believe people should follow their intuition instead of waiting for evidential warrant.
Yeah,
you're an idiot.
You know why?
Because you're an idiot.
Crazy.
No.
That is
because
that is completely irrational. That is completely irrational. It is. It is in violation with reason. You are saying
you won't allow me. You won't allow me to give an example.
You're right. I won't allow you. I'm talking right now. Stop fucking interrupting me. What you're doing is you're saying, hey, intuition is most often wrong, but I think people should rely on it instead of the better rational methods that are available. That is by definition irrational. You're either a troll or you're so horribly confused, I have no idea what to say.
No, I can provide an example, for instance.
I don't need an example. I need a justification.
I'm giving you an example. That's justification. The greatest physicist there was, Isaac Newton, in his 20s. He was inventing calculus, right? And he assumed that the binomial theorem could work with fractions. Using his intuition, he tried it. He didn't say, "Oh, I don't know,"
I'm sorry.
I need evidence to try
I'm
this
sorry,
out.
but we're going to.
No. Wait a second. I didn't finish.
No, you're not going to finish. I don't need you to finish. See, when I say, can intuition be wrong? And you say, yes, it most often is, but people should rely on it. You don't get to use an example of someone's intuition being correct in order to justify it. Sometimes intuitions are correct. You know why? In part because we train our intuitions. The more we understand the rest of the world, the better understanding we have of how things work, the more accurate and more reliable our intuition is. This is exactly what skepticism is for. This is what sound epistemology is for. This is, we are sitting here training our intuitions because we don't have time to assess every possible fact about every possible claim every second of every day. And so what you do is you teach your intuition to be more reliable. But when you say people should trust their intuitions, even though intuitions are most often wrong, and you just give an example of a time when an intuition worked out, well, you might as well be saying people should trust their lucky rabbit's foot because this one time, this guy trusted his lucky rabbit's foot and bowled 3 strikes in a row. It is irrational for you to suggest that trusting something that is unreliable should be preferable to reserving judgment until reliable justification comes along. See, now I'm going to let you try to come back on and at least address what was said.
All right. So how would you get to the truth?
You're not real, Kevin. He wasn't listening. He's not real.
No, I am. No, I am real. How would you get to the truth? You're waiting. You're waiting for evidence. You're waiting for evidence. You do not assume things.
No, Kevin.
You do not see where they lead you.
No, Kevin. Okay, I'm going to mute you again because you don't know how to shut the fuck up or think. Here we go. I don't sit around and wait for evidence, and neither does the rest of humanity. You know what we do? We explore the universe. We look around and we see tons of questions that we don't currently have answers to. And so we plan and figure out what are the best ways to investigating it. You know what's never, ever, ever, ever been shown to be the best way to investigate something? Intuition. Not once. But valid arguments with sound premises are completely reliable. And then the only problems that remain after that is human error in assessing whether or not the premises are sound, whether or not the argument is valid, and to what extent this should be applied. You seem to think that we're suggesting, hey, we just sit around and wait for evidence. No. I'll believe anything for which I am presented or discover or find sufficient evidence to warrant it. What is sufficient? I've just produced a handful of videos on this subject on my channel. It depends on the claim. Now, I think, and maybe it'd be interesting to get Justin's thoughts on this. There's the old adage of extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. I don't think there is such a thing as an extraordinary claim. I think there's just claims, and some of them have mountains of evidence which make them feel normal. If somebody says, hey, I got a puppy last night. Cool. I already have a fuck ton of evidence that puppies exist and that people keep them as pets. If somebody says, hey, I got abducted by aliens last night, I'm not going to take them at their word because there isn't sufficient evidence available to me. But if there was already just as much evidence for aliens abducting people as there was for people having puppies, I would take them at their word. So we're not just sitting around waiting. I have no problem with training intuition. That's what skepticism is about. But when you suggest that rather than waiting for justification, people should just run with their intuition while acknowledging that intuition is more often than not wrong, I don't even know that. I have no idea for any given person how good or bad their intuition is. I think there are people whose intuition is probably more often right. I don't know. I have no way to demonstrate. I don't even know how you would do that. And yet you're here making proclamations about intuition's almost always wrong, but it's better than waiting for evidence. It might be better than sitting around doing nothing and hoping somebody else shows up to present evidence. But it is not better than a systematic, reliable exploration of the world to find that evidence. Before I unmute him, Justin, I want to make sure that you get in and add or correct or whatever else, because if I unmute him, he's just going to go.
He's going to go crazy. So, I mean, Matt's right. Like we train our brains, and our intuition comes from prior knowledge, prior data points. And like, even in engineering, we have intuitions all the time. I was an engineer for 20 years. And sometimes you're like, an idea pops in your head and you're like, my intuition says this idea should work. But you know what you do next? You test it, you implement it, you see if your intuition was correct, because your intuition can be incorrect. And at the end of the day, some engineering designs, they just fail and you have to scrap them and move on. The same methodology needs to be applied to your deity. You can have intuitions that lead you to believe in a deity, but you still need to find a way to test it. You can't rely solely on intuition.
Intuition, yeah, it's true. Yeah, no, yeah. The last point that Matt made, yes, I was trying to get that across, but unfortunately, sorry, I'm European. Also, I'm
going to mute you again. Listen very carefully. You call in and you say, you've been watching me. Clearly, you haven't been paying attention, or something got lost in communication. Because what we've continually asked here is, you called in to say the flawed ideas of atheism. Now, first of all, atheism is at most a single position on a single issue. Are you convinced there's a God? If the answer is yes, it's a theist. If it's anything other than yes, I would argue that you're an atheist or non-theist, soft atheist. We don't need to get into the different categories there. But there are no ideas of atheism. And then, despite your claim that you're not calling in to talk about epistemology, 92.8% of this conversation has been about epistemology. The rest of it's been about me teaching you how to stop interrupting me and how you're misunderstanding what we're saying. And every time we ask you what we got wrong, you not only fail to present what we got wrong, you are advocating for irrational positions. And then when we explain why they're irrational, you're like, oh, yeah, I agree. That's the point I was getting to. Do you understand how it's very difficult for us, for me, I don't want to speak for anybody else, to take you seriously and think you are actually engaged in honest conversation if we go down a loop and you wind up agreeing with what I've been saying for almost 20 fucking years? The very basics of skepticism. And then when we point out that what you're saying is irrational, that you're saying it's preferable to rely on your intuition than to seek evidence, that's a problem. I'm pretty sure all of the people who voted the way different from I did relied on their intuition, because facts about reality don't seem to matter as much to some people as they did. It's very hard to take you seriously when you say you've been watching all of this and then tell us we're wrong. And then when we point out what we're saying, you disagree with us.
So what, if I may ask, besides that point, what do you think about people who say we are 100% certain about something in real life?
See, this is the other thing, Kevin. This is the other thing. This is the other thing, Kevin, that makes me wonder if you're not completely full of shit. Because one of the most common things that I've said over and over and over and over and over and over and over again is that my position is absolute certainty is impossible. So when somebody says that they can be absolutely certain, I think they are being irrational. And the fact that you don't know what my position is on that and had to ask me seems to contradict your view that you think we've got something wrong. I see no path to absolute certainty. So I'll ask you, do you think there's a path to absolute? Do you think there's a path to absolute certainty?
No. I mean, if nothing is certain, I'm sorry, I can't answer that question. I don't know.
But no, I didn't ask. I didn't. See, this is the thing, Kevin. Yeah. I didn't ask you, is there a path to absolute certainty? I asked, do you think there's a path to absolute certainty? That's a yes or no question. That's a yes or no. That's a yes or no question. And if you think there's a path to absolute certainty, you would say yes. And if you don't think there's a path to absolute certainty, you would say no. That does not mean that you think there is no path. It just means you're not convinced there is. So once again, are you convinced there's a path to absolute certainty?
Again, I don't know, but I know that if
you don't know whether or not you are convinced that there's a path to absolute certainty.
Yes, but I know that if there isn't, how can you?
No, Kevin, please just listen to the question. Despite what you think.
I just listen.
Shut up.
I said, I don't know.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Listen. Despite what you think, I'm genuinely being very careful and precise about how I ask this question. Are you convinced that you are alive? Yes or no?
Yes.
Cool. Are you convinced that absolute certainty is attainable? Yes or no?
I don't know.
Okay, then it's useless to continue talking to you about this, Kevin, because if you're not aware of whether or not you can listen to me, listen to me. If you are not aware,
dude, come on, let's just.
Okay, I'm going to mute you because you're really bad at this. I didn't ask you whether or not there was a path to certainty. I asked if you are convinced that there is. If you are not aware of whether or not you're convinced, then we can't have the conversation. You could say, maybe I'm convinced, maybe I'm not convinced, I don't know. That's a useless conversation to have. If you say, I don't know whether or not there is, but I'm not convinced there is, then the answer to my question was yes. I'm hoping that this is just some sort of language barrier thing. So let me try this. I'm going to make two statements. I would like for you to tell me what's different between those statements. Statement one, there is a path to absolute certainty. Statement two, I am convinced there is a path to absolute certainty. What is the difference between those two statements?
The first one is referring, that doesn't necessarily refer to you, but the second one refers only to your worldview.
The second one is about what, the first one is about what is, and the second one is about what you are convinced is, right?
Yes, that's right.
Are you convinced that there's a path to absolute certainty?
Yes.
Cool. What is that?
Yes. I don't know. I don't know what it is.
Then what convinces you that there is a path to absolute certainty? Is it intuition?
Surely not. But again, as you said,
what do you mean? What do you mean? Okay, Kevin. So hang on. I'm just going to ask Justin. We lost a theist call sitting here dancing around with Kevin. So my apologies to the theist who called in and left. I have failed, despite taking this down to a very basic level. I'm going to do what I said I was going to do earlier and just take a half a step back. I'm going to unmute Kevin as soon as you tell me to, and then you can figure out how you would. I don't know what else to say. It's like, you know, when you're trying to explain a logical fallacy to somebody, and you're like, you come up with a scenario where it's obvious to them that this is a fallacious argument. And then you try and apply it to their scenario. They just can't see it, despite it being logically identical. And I can appreciate the fact that somebody might be convinced that there's a path to truth, but not necessarily know what the path to truth is. But I don't know how you can be convinced and not know why you're convinced. And unless it's just intuition, which is why I asked if it was intuition, and he said certainly not, which is his preferred. So I'm stuck. So when you want me to, I will unmute Kevin and I will sit back.
So Kevin, it's obviously clear why you're an agnostic, because you don't believe you can know anything. And so what we're trying to figure out right now is, are you sure about any of your beliefs, right? Because at this point, I think we've wasted damn near a half hour on this particular phone call. And all I've heard so far is you complaining that we won't sit in your agnosticism with you, that we actually demand evidence, right? So now we're trying to figure out, is there anything in your belief system that we can actually pin down to anything other than intuition? And the moment Matt finally got to that point where we might have found something, you said, certainly no, it wasn't intuition, but I don't know what it was, which means you're using your intuition to debunk your intuition. So at this point, rather than doing intuition inception, can you tell us why you believe what you believe? Is there an actual reason for it, or is it only intuition?
It's not only intuition. My belief system is that if people are convinced that there is no 100% certainty about any claim or any validity of the validity of any claim, then you can't prove to that person anything. You can't prove anything. Only inside the math world can you do that. Only inside the math world you can do that. In real
Kevin,
world,
how confident are you right now that I'm Kevin? How confident right now are you that I'm holding a pen?
I don't know what to show. I don't know.
Okay, I'm sorry. You can't see the screen. I apologize. I'm used to. Sorry, I apologize. Kevin, stop. Stop. You don't have to respond. I apologize. I'm used to talking to people who can see the screen. Okay. So that being said, how confident are you right now that you're talking to a human being?
Oh, I'm confident. But
you're very confident. 100%, okay, and why are you confident in that?
Because my intuition tells me that, because of my experiences, I have called other souls, and I think I'm talking to a human being right now.
Prior data points inform your current opinion. Okay.
Yes.
So when we say the same thing, okay, what level of confidence are you that there is a God? And it seems like you're fairly confident in that. Am I correct?
No, I'm not confident actually. If you define God as an all-powerful being, an all-knowing, you really just screwed up the God. For instance, if you take that assumption, you can see that it leads to some paradoxes, such as the very well-known example where God creates the rock that he cannot lift, or that's how it is. So I do not believe in all-powerful, all-knowing God. Just because I assume he exists, and then I see where that leads me, and therefore I deny it. So
okay. So what I'm trying to figure out right now in the conversation, Kevin, is what are the prior data points that are leading you to intuit that some kind of a God does exist? What are those prior experiences leading you to this current moment in time?
Excuse me, can you explain that? I didn't get that.
Yeah, you're using intuition to say that God exists, and your intuition is fed by prior data points, prior experiences. So what are the prior data points and experiences that are leading you to believe in a God? And if you don't know what the prior experiences are, we can't move the conversation forward.
No. I just said I don't believe in a God.
You don't.
I just said it. Yeah.
You started the conversation as an agnostic?
No, I assumed that God exists, an all-powerful being, an all-knowing. I assume.
There you go.
Then I see.
Ladies and gentlemen,
it leads to.
We got him. He's an atheist now.
Mean? Yeah. No, I'm not an atheist. What do you mean I'm an atheist?
Do you believe there's a God?
I'm just trying to find the truth. And to find the truth.
Do you believe God exists?
There's a God.
Excuse me?
Are you convinced that there is a God?
The all-powerful and all-knowing? No.
I didn't know. No, sir. No, sir. I didn't give any particular definition of a God.
Okay,
I said, are you convinced? I see. Wow. This is impossible.
How can Matt,
this is impossible because you don't fucking listen. No, shut up. You don't listen. It's a real simple question. I didn't say, are you convinced there's an all-powerful being who does blah, blah, blah. I didn't know. I don't care. Whatever you might say, I believe in a God, but it's not this God. I believe in a God, but it's not that God. I don't get to say, this is the definition of God, and therefore quiz you on what I'm trying to find out what you fucking believe. And so when I say, do you believe in a God? When I say, are you convinced that a God exists? I didn't say, are you convinced the God of classical theism exists? I didn't say, are you convinced an all-powerful something exists? I don't care. I'm trying to find out, are you convinced that a God exists? All you got to do is say yes or no. You are either convinced or not. If you don't know if you're convinced, that's a whole nother discussion, but you are either convinced or not. If you are in fact convinced that a God exists, any God, then you are a theist. And if you are not convinced that a God exists, you're an atheist. So, once again, Kevin, are you convinced that some God exists?
No.
Cool. Then you're an atheist. Congratulations.
Welcome to atheism.
Yeah. Well, am I though? I mean, is that it? I don't know.
Yes,
I believe in the historicity of. I believe in the historicity of Jesus.
Okay.
No, you don't.
Kevin?
Now you're just lying.
Kevin?
He's a troll. Get rid of him.
Yeah, this is absolutely a troll. Thank you for showing that when we finally got you cornered. By the way, I'm going to mute you because I know you're getting ready to interrupt and say something stupid or offensive. But I'm not going to hang up on you until I'm either going to make you hang up. But now we're just going to let you know. Justin is on board. Nobody said anything at all about the historicity of Jesus. I'm not a mythicist. I have friends who are mythicists. I don't think Christianity can meet its burden of proof on Jesus in any respect, even that he was a real person. But I have no problem with the concept that there may have been someone. I am neither convinced that Jesus existed, nor am I convinced that he didn't exist. I am agnostic on that particular issue. And so if somebody says, are you convinced Jesus existed? No. Oh, so you think Jesus didn't exist? No, that's not what I said. It's the same as, do you think that are you convinced the number of blades of grass on the planet is even? No, I'm not. Then are you convinced it's odd? No, I'm not. It's possible, if there are two propositions, to reject them both because they haven't been justified by evidence. Meanwhile, my intuition about you was right. Goodbye.
I don't think he had a real position. I just think he came to bitch.
Hey, do you think this clip just fell out of a coconut tree? No. It did. Okay, now technically I did build the channel into a coconut tree and it did fall out. And also that our internet router is up there. Actually, in a lot of ways, this production fell out of a coconut tree. But we could only afford that because people like you supported us for $5 a month over where is that, Eric?
Patreon.com/calltheline, and
that's right.
Jimmy will,
you got it.
Yeah, be grateful. Yeah.
We have an exclusive patron podcast over there. Check it out. Thumbs up with it, Eric. We talked about this in the meeting. We have to both.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. Okay, there we go.